Hey, everybody, off the mic, Sports Network here. Another edition of Off the Top Rope. Interesting story came out from Sean Ross Sapp at Fightful Select. A big topic of discussion and something that I've talked about extensively on Off the Top Rope is one Mercedes Monet. And the rumor had been going around that she has full creative control of her character. She hasn't taken a loss yet. But here's the thing. Sean Ross Sapp reported on Thursday the following, and let me get this story up. So apparently, the sources that have been multiple sources within both AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling have dismissed the idea that Mercedes Monet has creative control of her own bookie. In fact, those close to the situation say they've never heard of such a clause in the contract. One individual familiar with the plans in both companies noted that there hasn't even been a conversation about her refusing to lose because losing simply hasn't been in the part of the creative plans. And both AEW and New Japan are reportedly committed to giving Mercedes Monet a strong push. Okay. So this is weird. This is really weird because a couple of different things here. Number one, Mercedes hasn't lost in a year. She is on the road potentially to winning 5 belts. So if this is true, this is a horrible, horrible idea. This is a horrible idea, and it would reek of Tony Khan. And if New Japan's signing off on that, God bless them too. Because whoever thinks that this is a good idea for one woman to hold every major championship across women's wrestling, that's a horrible idea. Okay, so if that is true, that is a massive indictment, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if it was on Tony Khan. Given what we know and what we've heard about Mercedes Monet and her ego, I'd be inclined to believe that she would have some level of creative control. This almost feel like this report is weird because no matter who, like, no matter what you think about the story, it doesn't look good on anybody. Like, it doesn't look good anywhere because Tony Khan looks like an idiot if he is continually booking his women's division into oblivion and hasn't even bothered to approach Mercedes Monet about losing a match. Also, I would understand it on some level with the TBS championship because he is very petty, he's very vindictive, and he wants that Jade Cargill to be scrubbed from the record books as the longest reigning TBS champion of all time. But hey, you gave her the first reign, you had her reign for a long time, and then you had her lose 2 matches, and then she was out the door and she didn't care about you anymore. So that's your own prerogative. That's whatever you want to do. But at the same time, as I've said extensively, and I said on this channel earlier this week, this is killing the women's division. Like you literally tossed aside Athena, a dream match, on a random episode in Boston just so Mercedes could go face the women's world champion. Admittedly a dream match, but you're killing your own women's division. So if it's true, it looks terrible on the part of the creative team, but that would feed into the narratives that we've talked about with AEW. If it's not true, it makes Mercedes look terrible because she's controlling everything. She's dictating. She's Mercedes Hogan sister and all this other shit, and she controls every bit of her character. So either way, this looks awful for AEW. There's no winning. This is a no-win situation whatsoever because the character has not connected. Her stock is as low as it's ever been. So whether it's AEW and Tony Khan that are booking this character, what was it, Jen Pepperman, who they brought in as a writer to work with her, it's not working. The title reign has sucked. She's literally beaten everybody. And if you're about elevating talent, why do you keep having her win matches? It should be about, elevating people. Nobody has really benefited from this. And nobody's going to benefit from this if she wins the Owen Hart Cup and goes to face Toni Storm. Admittedly, even though that would sell a ton of tickets, but what does that accomplish for your women's division? It's like, yeah, you're selling tickets for one event, but you're not thinking further down the line in the future of like, okay, what's going to happen with the TBS title? What's going to happen with the women's title? What are we going to do if we this, that, and the other? And who knows? Maybe Mercedes wins this tournament and then loses to Toni Storm. And maybe that happens. Still, like the whole women's division has fallen down. And this kind of uncovered and, maybe, kind of exposed some, maybe some like, there were some lies that were going out in there. Still, I'm not even exactly sure. Sean Ross Sapp is pretty reliable and he has a lot of really good sources and I trust his reporting. part of this does feel a little bit like damage control from AEW because they kind of see the winds blowing and the negative publicity and the negative, press around Mercedes. But um, at the same time, hey, the only way that this actually is kind of look good is say, hey, Tony Khan's kind of taking the fall for this. It would seem like because that's what the report reads. It's almost like they're trying to take some of the heat off of Mercedes. But the fact that this has gotten so far out of hand in the last year that we're even to this point is kind of ridiculous. So, I don't know what to think. I know a lot of Mercedes fans get offended when I insult her. Again, I will repeat this in almost every conceivable video that I do about this woman. Mercedes Varnado, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet has done an incredible amount for the women's division. We used to have lingerie pillow fights. We used to have bra and panties matches and piss break matches and bikini contests with the women. Now they're main eventing WrestleManias and stuff. And she was in one of those. She was in one of those with 2 black women. She's done a ton for the women's division, okay? Just because I don't like how things have gone for her in AEW and some of the reporting and some of the messaging that has gotten out has not framed her in a great light. And hey, maybe this is true. But either way, none of it has made her look good. None of it has made her look good. If she doesn't have creative control of her character, that's a terrible look for Tony Khan. Because whoever thought that this was a good idea for her in a span of a year to not lose a match, literally win 25, 26 straight matches and be in position to challenge for the women's world championship when she already holds 4 championships. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is I saw this report and I saw that this was coming out, and Sean Ross Sapp had been pretty adamant that this whole narrative around Mercedes that she had creative control of her character was not true. But yeah, I find this really interesting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments in terms of do you think this is true? Because I know a lot of people are not big fans of Sean Ross Sapp. Like I said, I respect him. Some of like the way he interacts with some of the fan base, like I understand you get defensive about reporting, but he's a journalist, and as a guy who's been in media for my entire career, I respect people who grind. I respect people who do their due diligence. I respect people who go through the right avenues to report things, and I trust that Sean Ross Sapp is talking to the right people. That being said, this coming out now, after a year and after all the bad stuff that has come out, it's just odd. And again, like I said, there's really no winner in this at all. Because again, if it's true, Tony Khan looks like an idiot, which we already knew. So what else is new? But it still doesn't make him look great. The only thing that makes him look good is, hey, he's a good boss. He's able to fall on the sword for Mercedes and just like say, hey, yeah, let me get out in front of this narrative. Who knows if that was the idea behind this? And then if it's not true, first of all, you make a reporter look bad. Secondly, Mercedes and everything that we've heard about her and being a power hungry, woman. And, like I said, she's earned some level of, control considering how great she's been in her career. But it's clear that it hasn't really connected in AEW. But yeah, this is just weird. It's a weird story. Another, it seems like AEW makes a lot of headlines when they're not even on the air, even though their shows have been, mid to terrible. But yeah, bizarre story. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know there's a lot of Mercedes fans who subscribe to the channel or just, hate watch me say, what's Mike gonna shit on AEW? Guys, this was a weird thing. So let me know what you think. I'll see you guys soon on another edition of Off the Top Rope.